This is Scott from KIG. It's January 30th, 2019. Today we're going to go over a startup video of this 10-ton E-Chill Glycol Chiller, or air-cooled water chiller, whatever you want to call it. This video or videos are going to serve two purposes. One's a runoff video for a customer who has purchased it, and we've done a slight modification to it for his application. But it's also kind of a overall video for new prospective customers also. So again, we got some covers off here. This is a 10-ton, 230 volt air-cooled Glycol chiller. We're just going to start going over some components and construction of the unit. Underneath here we have our insulated Glycol reservoir in the corner of the tank. For a 10-ton, we actually have a nice sized, about 72 gallons. On this side here, you can see there's a Glycol sight glass, which is nice. The tank is completely insulated, and we also have a level switch in there, so you can get a tank level alarm. It's just an indicator light. It doesn't shut the unit off. That'll prompt you if the glycol or water level is too low. In the corner here, you can see just back there, our brazed plate evaporator or heat exchanger, and you can see the TXV valve leading into it. We do have refrigerant sight glasses on all our E-Chills, which is nice. And we also have a solenoid valve here, a positive shutoff solenoid valve for the refrigerant. That's a nice feature too. The chiller does operate on pump down, so after each compressor cooling cycle, that solenoid valve will close there, and the compressor will pump down, which prevents liquid refrigerant from coming back into the compressor. Ask any HVAC guy, in particular with smaller chillers. That's a really nice feature. Also, you can just see here on the Glycol inlet to the heat exchanger, we have a flow switch. So that's a paddle type flow switch calibrated for each particular chiller. If there is not proper flow, and proper flow is critical for a chiller, for a chiller's heat exchanger, you will get a flow fault here, and that's a super nice feature. Real important to have. On the 10-ton and up models, and we sell the E-Chill from 6.5 ton up to 20. On the 10-ton and up, you'll get shut-off valves on the suction line of the pump and the discharge line of the pump. In this case here, for our customer, we've installed a larger, higher pressure pump here, and have re-insulated it quite nicely. The direction of flow is we draw from the tank. The pump draws from the tank, then we go out to the heat exchanger first. Then we go from the heat exchanger out to the process. We like doing it this way, especially if it ends up in a brewery application, or if it goes to multiple processes, because we satisfy the pressure demands of the heat exchanger first, and we do not require any particular type of pressure of the return flow coming back to the chiller at all. It's effectively returning under zero atmospheric pressure, if you will, back to the chiller. The 10-ton unit comes with these 1.5-inch NPT fittings here. For our test runs, we put on a loop, and we actually put on a GPM flow meter to measure what type of flow we got. In this case here, because we upgraded the pump on this particular unit, we also upgraded the pressure gauge to a higher pressure gauge. This pump can do about 60 psi at 30 GPM. A couple key things in the control cabinet we'll go over first, because this does have a series of, or does have several nice features. In the top left corner here, you see a timer labeled a PPT. That's our off delay on brake timer, or the post purge timer. I mentioned the pump down. That's there to allow the compressor to complete its pump down cycle after each on cycle. Next to that is the BPT timer. That's in the middle. That's our bypass timer. That's basically a low pressure bypass timer, so upon initial startup you won't get a nuisance low pressure alarm, which sometimes can happen the way chillers operate. So that's an extra feature we have there. The LPR is simply the lockout protection relay. That will lock out the compressor in the case of a serious fault or unsafe condition. And down below here, you can kind of just see, well, you see the green light there. That's our PLR, labeled PLR. That's our phase loss reversal monitor. So that's another feature we install in there. That cuts the control voltage out to the chiller in the event of phase reversal, power loss, or if there's a 10% or greater differential between any of the two voltage legs. That's our main incoming power contactor there, our control transformer. This terminal block here, that's kind of slick. In this case here, or in all cases with our E-chill, we make it upgradable to mount this controller remotely. So you have this multi-conductor cable that comes from the controller here up to this terminal block, and by just getting a longer cable you can mount that control panel indoors. In this case here it's cabinet mounted, as we call it. In here we have our contactor and overload for the pump preset here at the factory. Okay, I'm going to end this video number 1 and start video number 2.